Hi everyone, I am Crystal Alexander. I am a 6 to 9 teacher at the Carmichael campus. I wanted to do a novel study and I picked one of my favorites because of Winn-Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. It's a great story. The movie is also fun, so I was thinking at the end it would be a fun activity that we can all participate in together and watch the movie, and then we can compare the book and the movie. So here we go. So a couple things. There's a couple clues of this book that I'm going to bring up every once in a while. So clue number 1, there's some candy. Clue number 2, the number 10. Clue 3, a book, War and Peace. Clue 4, a dog leash and a dog collar. Clue 5, lightning. And clue 6, a sandwich and pickles. So these are all clues to things that happen in this book, or important things in this book. So chapter 1. My name is India Opal Baloney, and last summer my daddy, the preacher, sent me to the store for a box of macaroni and cheese, some white rice, and 2 tomatoes. I came back with a dog. This is what happened. I walked to the produce section of the Winn-Dixie grocery store to pick out my 2 tomatoes, and I almost bumped right into the store manager. He was standing there all red-faced, screaming and waving his arms around. "Who let the dog in here?" he kept on shouting. "Who let the dog in here?" At first, I didn't see a dog. There were just a lot of vegetables rolling around on the floor, tomatoes and onions and green peppers, and there was what seemed like a whole army of Winn-Dixie employees running around waving their arms just the same way the store manager was. And then the dog came running around the corner. He was a big dog and ugly. He looked like he was having a real good time. His tongue was hanging out and he was wagging his tail. He skidded to a stop and smiled right at me. I had never before in my life seen a dog smile, but that's what he did. He pulled back his lips and he showed me all his teeth. Then he wagged his tail so hard that he knocked some oranges off a display, and they went rolling everywhere, mixing in with the tomatoes and onions and green peppers. The manager screamed, "Somebody grab that dog!" The dog went running over to the manager, wagging his tail and smiling. He just stood up on his hind legs, and you can tell all he wanted to do was get to face with the manager and thank him for the good time he was having in the produce department. But somehow he ended up knocking the manager over, and the manager must have been having a real bad day, because laying there on the floor right in front of everyone, he started to cry. The dog leaned over him, real concerned, and licked his face. "Please," said the manager, "somebody call the pound." "Wait a minute," I hollered. "That's my dog. Don't call the pound." All the Winn-Dixie employees turned around and looked at me, and I knew I had done something big and maybe even stupid. But I couldn't help it. I couldn't let that dog go to the pound. "Here, boy," I said. He stopped licking the manager's face, put up his ears in the air, and looked at me like he was trying to remember where he knew me from. "Here, boy," I said. And then I figured that the dog was probably just like everyone else in the world, and that he would want to be called by his name. Only I didn't know what his name was. So I just said the first thing that came to my head. I said, "Here, Winn-Dixie." And that dog came trotting over me just like he'd been doing it his whole life. The manager sat up and gave me a hard stare like maybe I was making fun of him. "It's his name," I said, honest. The manager said, Don't you know not to bring a dog in this grocery store?" "Yes, sir," I told him. "He got in by mistake. I'm sorry. It won't happen again." "Come on, Winn-Dixie," I said to the dog. I started walking, and he followed right along behind me as I went off to the produce department and down to the cereal aisle and past all the cashiers out the door. Once we were safe outside, I checked him over real careful, and he didn't look that good. He was big but skinny. You could see his ribs, and there was bald patches all over him, places where he didn't have any fur at all. Mostly, he just looked like a piece of old brown carpet had been left out in the rain. "You're a mess," I told him. I bet you don't belong to anybody. He smiled at me. He did that thing again where he pulled his lips back and showed me his teeth. He smiled so big that it made a big sneeze, and it was like he was saying, I know I'm a mess. Isn't it funny? It's hard not to immediately fall in love with a dog who has a good sense of humor. Come on, I told him. Let's see what the preacher has to say about you. And the two of us, me and Winn-Dixie, started walking for home. So chapter 2 will be tomorrow. Questions for chapter 1 are things to think about. Opal's dog is called Winn-Dixie. Tell why Opal decides to give her dog that name. Number 2, what words does Opal use to describe Winn-Dixie when she first sees him? Of these qualities, which causes Opal to adopt Winn-Dixie despite of the way he looks? And those are the questions for those 2 chapters. So please talk about it, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.